Hello, I'm Wendy Hopper, founder and executive director of Enriching Escapes. I founded Enriching Escapes because of my family's own personal experience as a special needs family. I wanted to take a couple of minutes to show you a little bit more about that experience and to illustrate what words really can't express. This is my husband Nick and me on our baby moon when I was almost 6 months pregnant with our first child. We thought we had plenty of time to prepare for the big debut after this trip, but our little guy had other plans. Our first son, Hudson, was born 10 weeks early in very dramatic fashion. He spent the first 2 months of his life in the NICU, and we spent almost every waking hour there as well. During that time, there were so many procedures, tests, pokes, and prods, and some genuine scares that we weren't sure he would make it through. About a month into his life, an MRI showed that he had brain damage known as periventricular leukomalacia. We soon learned that this meant a diagnosis of cerebral palsy was likely down the road, and eventually that diagnosis came to be a reality. These 2 months were emotionally and physically draining, but we had no idea what we were in store for when we left the NICU. Hudson started regular therapy sessions immediately after coming home from the hospital to try and train his brain to do what most kids do naturally. The therapies amounted to hours a week. Today, at 3 years old, he has 7 different therapies totaling 6 hours a week. That's hundreds of hours a year. That's a lot of therapy for such a little guy. And of course, that's also a huge time commitment for us as parents who shuttle him to and from and sit through each session in order to try and learn techniques that we can implement at home. Therapy is also something that requires constant attention and research in order to ensure that your child is receiving the very best therapy out there. On top of all of the things that go along with the therapy part of life, there are the constant medical appointments and procedures. Hudson has various specialists that he follows up with every few months. And like with therapy, the medical aspect requires due diligence in order to make sure that you know about all of the options out there to be sure your child isn't missing out on any medical advances. Additionally, there's a lot of equipment required to provide support for a child like Hudson during normal everyday activities like eating and playing, as well as to assist with healthy development overall. The therapies, the medical appointments, and the equipment are a huge financial consideration, as insurance doesn't cover all associated costs, and in some cases, insurance covers nothing. When Hudson was about 6 months old, my husband and I were both fortunate enough to be able to take a significant amount of time off of work and focus on our family. We found many opportunities to have little getaways over the months that followed, as we were based in New York City at the time, so it was relatively easy to get to many different destinations. That experience made us realize that our new life made vacationing, something we always loved to do, important in a very different way. It probably comes as no surprise that studies show that parents and caregivers of children with special needs are at great risk of suffering from a variety of mental health issues. And the children themselves understandably can get burned out. Getting away from the stress of day-to-day life became almost a necessity. But we had another revelation during this time as well. When our vacation caused Hudson to miss valuable therapy time, we felt guilty. We were able to solve for that by finding an alternative therapy that was available in many of the places we were traveling to. But as it's not a widely known therapy and it's not one even covered partially by insurance, that solution isn't realistic for most families. Our day-to-day story is similar to that of many special needs families. The therapies, medical appointments, and the constant worrying about what the future holds takes its toll on every family member. What's different about our story, though, is that we've been able to get away from it all from time to time by vacationing, and doing so without the guilt of missing important therapies. We hope to help as many families as possible get that much-deserved break and avoid burnout by arranging vacations, assisting with funding of travel expenses, and by having therapists come along in order to deliver therapy to the children throughout the vacation and to provide general family support. If you know a special needs family who could benefit from an enriching escape, head to our Nominate a Family page and tell us about them. And if you'd like to help further our mission by becoming a volunteer therapist or donating to our cause, we'd love to have your support. Head to our Get Involved or Donate pages. Thank you so much for your time.